Some stories don't begin with miracles. They begin with two tired souls carrying baskets heavier than their dreams. So if you're watching this, watch it slowly. Because this isn't just a story about two girls selling dried fish. It's a story about innocence, hunger, and the quiet courage of survival. Kavita and Maya. Two young women who lost their parents at 14. Since that day, they had no one to look after them, except each other. They lived in a tiny tent on the edge of a small village. When the morning sun rose, they lifted their bamboo baskets filled with dried fish, the same trade their parents once did. Because when you've seen your world fall apart too early, you don't dream anymore. You simply continue what you know. They walked through the lanes, knocking on doors, calling softly, "Dry fish, fresh from the sea." Some people smiled and bought their fish. Some closed the door before they could finish the sentence. But on kind days, someone would hand them food wrapped in a banana leaf. And for that one meal, they'd eat like queens. They drank from the tube well, slept under the sky, and laughed while eating bare fruits under the tree near their tent. Maya was the mischievous one. She'd sometimes sneak into a farm and pluck fruits, and when Kavita scolded her, she'd smile and say, "The village boys do this all the time. I'm still a kid too." Kavita would shake her head, pretending to be angry, but she'd always end up laughing, because Maya's laughter was the only sound that made life feel lighter. But one day, everything changed. A grumpy old woman stood in front of her door, sniffed at their fish, and frowned. "This fish isn't good," she spat. "Others sell better, yours is cheap." When Maya refused to lower the price, the old woman's voice grew cruel, throwing insult after insult. Maya's face burned with anger. Before she could shout back, Kavita grabbed her arm and dragged her away, whispering, "Don't, Maya, please." They walked away silently, tears brimming, their feet heavy from the heat and humiliation. That night, they sat beside their tent, their bodies aching from walking all day under the sun. The world was quiet, but their hearts were not. Maya's hands were trembling. She finally broke the silence and said, "Why us, Kavita? Can't they see we're just two girls trying to live? Why do they have to be so cruel? Sometimes I just want to leave this place. But before I do, I'll disturb every person who ever hurt us." Kavita looked at her, startled by the rage in her voice. Her own eyes filled with tears. "No, Maya," she said softly. "We are not bad people." But Maya's pain had turned into fire. "I don't want to be good anymore," she whispered, and stormed off toward the river. Kavita called after her, but Maya didn't turn back. She just kept walking until she disappeared into the darkness. That night, Kavita broke down. She cried so hard that her body shook. She cried for Maya, for their parents, and for the unfairness that never seemed to end. The kind of cry that has no sound, only pain. Morning came, but everything was not the same anymore. It wasn't the first time the world had wronged them, but somehow it hurt more now. When they were children, they brushed off cruelty with laughter. But now, at 19, they could feel the wounds of every moment they once ignored. When their parents died, Their house owner had thrown them out without a single day's mercy. Knowing they had nowhere to go, people had offered them waste food, and they had eaten it quietly with gratitude. But now those memories began to haunt them. Every insult, every humiliation, every moment they had buried to stay alive, came back sharper than ever. Because pain doesn't vanish with time. It only waits for the moment you grow old enough to understand it. They no longer laughed under the bare tree. Even when they sat side by side, their silence felt miles apart. Then one day, it happened again. At one of the houses they sold fish to, a man suddenly shouted, "You thieves! You stole my money!" His wife gasped, and before the girls could speak, he ordered her to check their baskets. Maya's patience snapped. She threw her fish basket to the ground, shouting, "See, we have nothing." Tears streamed down her face as she ran away. Kavita ran after her, but she couldn't find her anywhere. That night, Kavita waited by the tent, staring at the road until the moon rose. Finally, Maya appeared, carrying a small bag. When she opened it, Kavita froze. Inside were gold ornaments. "Maya, what did you do?" Maya's eyes burned with anger and exhaustion. "They already call us thieves, so I decided to become one." Kavita's voice broke. "No, Maya, our parents didn't teach us this." They argued until the night fell silent again. Neither said another word. Both cried quietly, but in separate corners of the same tent. The next morning, shouting filled the air. Villagers surrounded their tent, voices sharp with anger. Before Kavita could even understand what was happening, Maya grabbed the bag and ran. Kavita stood frozen for a second, then tried to follow her. But before she could take more than a few steps, someone caught her wrist and yelled, "Thief!" She turned back, breathless, trying to explain that Maya had run, that she had nothing. But no one listened. They dragged Kavita to a tree, rough hands tying her wrists tight against the bark, demanding she return what Maya had stolen. Kavita cried out Maya's name, not in anger, but in disbelief, because in that moment, she wasn't just being punished for a crime she didn't commit. She was being left behind by the only person who had ever run beside her. 2 days later, a man came forward and said, "I saw Maya stealing the ornaments." They finally untied Kavita, but their words still stung. "Your sister is a thief. Leave this village." Kavita stood there, her eyes hollow, her dignity torn apart. Then she walked away, with no direction, only silence. The road was long and hot. She was hungry, thirsty, and her body trembled from weakness. She sat by the roadside, head resting against a wall, and fell asleep, because grief can exhaust you more than hunger ever could. When she woke up, she felt a gentle hand on her head. An old woman stood there, her eyes kind. "Child," she said softly, "you look tired. Come inside." Kavita didn't speak. She just followed her. The smell of soup filled the room. The woman placed a bowl in front of her and said, "If you cook and help me, you can stay here." Kavita nodded silently. She ate every drop of the soup. not because she was hungry, but because it tasted like mercy. That night, as she lay on the old woman's bed, she stared at the ceiling and remembered everything. The laughter, the barefoot walks, the bare tree, the insults, the faces that turned away when she begged for help. She realized something. When they were younger, they never truly understood pain. They thought crying would fix it. They thought laughing together would erase it. But now, every old memory had grown teeth, and they were all biting her at once. The same moments that once made her strong, now made her ache. Because childhood hides the wound, adulthood makes you feel it. She turned toward the window and saw the moon spilling its light on the floor. It reminded her of the nights when she and Maya would laugh while eating bear under the stars. She smiled through her tears and whispered, "Even if the world calls you a thief, Maya, you'll always be my sister." Sometimes, the world doesn't break you in one blow. It breaks you softly, over years, through words, hunger, and silence. And when you grow older, you begin to feel every wound you once ignored, every insult you brushed off, every kindness you waited for that never came. Kavita learned that goodness doesn't protect you from pain. It only keeps your heart from becoming like the world that hurt you. And maybe, when the world turned its back on her, God quietly sent someone with soup to remind her that mercy still exists. Because when the world calls you a thief, kindness calls you home. And sometimes, being seen, even once, is all it takes to start healing. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for next part.